what are callback functions? Okay, suppose I have a function calculator which calculates, adds two numbers, and I have to display it only after the calculation is done, right? So one way is I have to call the function inside the my calculator, right? So what function has to be called after calculation? I can pass it as an argument, right? So while calling the my calculator itself, I'm passing the number which has to be added, and also I'm passing the function which has to be called after doing the calculations, right? So my displayer is passed to my callback. When you call my callback, my displayer will be called, and then uh, whatever value you pass, right, sum, that sum is assigned to inner.html. Okay, so what is the use of callback? Callback is nothing but a function which is passed as an argument to another function, right? What is the use of it? If you want to call a function only after doing something, right? You can execute all the part of the code, and then you can call this function. Okay, so this is the advantage of callback. It's nothing but a function which is passed as an argument, and you do something in your function and then use that callback to call that function. Okay, so now let's see what is asynchronous function, right? The function is running in parallel with other functions, right, are called asynchronous, which means that if you call, right, set time mode is an asynchronous function. Okay, which means that I will finish later, you carry on with your work. Some function is calling set time mode, right? So you're calling set time mode, correct? So this has to wait for 3 seconds. Until that code will not get blocked. Until this function finishes, the code will not get blocked, because you are telling that set time mode is an asynchronous function, which means it can run parallelly. So since it can run parallelly, other function can also be executed. So this code will not block and this function will get executed. Okay, that is the advantage of asynchronous function. Okay, see here, this function, right, you're calling my function, right? This my function is called after 3 seconds, correct? Until then, right, what I will do is I will just put this code again immediately here. Okay, I will put I hate you. Okay, so now what? Let's see what is the behavior of this. See, I'm hate you is coming. After 3 seconds, it's changing to I love you, which means while executing this code, right, this set time mode function will wait for 3 seconds and then call this function, correct? But the execution didn't wait for the set time mode. It immediately went to the next line and started executing it. Because when I run, I hate came immediately. Okay, after 3 seconds, this function got called and it changed the inner HTML to I love you. Okay, so asynchronous function, if you think a particular function is going to take much time, right, and if you don't declare that function as asynchronous, then the control will wait until the function completes. Then only to go to the next function. Correct? Suppose you take this example. Here I am writing a backend server. Okay, I have imported Express. Okay, I'm using Express framework, and I am listening on one port number. Okay, and I call a connect function. This connect function, what it does, it connects to a Mongo database. Connecting into a Mongo database is going to take time. Correct? So if I don't declare this function as asynchronous, right, what will happen? Control will keep on waiting until the connection is established. Since I declared this function as asynchronous, what happened? This connect function is called, so control didn't wait for the completion. Control came here to the next line. Server is running came first. And after that, this is running in parallelly, right? It is running in some other code, right? It is running parallelly. After that, this got executed, and then this connected to MongoDB came. Okay. So now what I did now is I took the async out. Since I took the async out, what happened? The connect, the control waited for this code to complete. So this code completed. Now connecting to MongoDB came first. After the connection established, then only the rest part of the code is running. Okay. So if you think that this function can run parallelly, declare it as async. It will improve your application performance. The control will not get blocked. So this is a very important aspect of async function. Okay. Inside a async function, right? I don't want to execute line number 18. I want inside, while executing async function, inside async function, I want to wait for the connection to happen, and then only I want the line number 17 to be executed, completed, and after that only I want 18 to be executed. Okay, in that case, what I will do is I will add await keyword. Once I add await keyword, line number 18 will be executed only after completing line number 17. Okay, this await is allowed only in async function. You know why await is allowed only in async function? Because await waits, correct? If it is not async, then this function will keep on waiting. Other things will, everything will get blocked. Since async function can run parallelly, you are allowed to use you are allowed to wait inside async function because it can run parallelly. It will not disturb other execution. Okay, this is the await keyword. Okay, now what is a promise in JavaScript? Okay, so let's have some code, right, which is a producing code. It is creating something. Okay, consuming code is it has to wait for the producing code to complete, and then only you can consume. You saw callbacks, right? Some calculation has to happen, then only some function has to be called. Okay, instead of callback, you can use promise. Okay, so now here, how to do that? Okay, so promise is nothing but an object, JavaScript objects, right? That has both producing code and it calls the consuming code. Okay, so when you create a promise, right, you have to pass a function. Okay, promise object accepts a function. Okay, in the function you have the producing code. Okay, in the function you call two function, my resolve or my reject, first function or second function. You call first function on a successful scenario. You call my second function on a error scenario. Okay, and okay, so now once you create a promise, right? Once you create the promise object, you can use dot then, and you can have two functions. The first function will be called when you call the first function of this, right? My resolve. The second function will be called on an error scenario. Okay. So well, let's go to an example. Okay. Let's go try yourself. Okay. So now I'm creating an object, right? So here this is the producing code. If it is zero now, what I'm calling? I'm calling the first function, which means on success scenario. Success scenario, what function will be called? The first function will be called. So my displayer, I'm passing the value. What value? OK value I'm passing. Correct? When I call the first function, this function will be called. So OK will be passed to value. My displayer, OK is passed. What is my displayer doing? Inner.html, whatever you pass, that is what. So OK got printed. Okay. So this is the producing code. After the producing code only, you are calling the consuming code. Consuming code you can call on a error success scenario or a error scenario. Success and error you can based on some code here. Suppose the x value is 1. What will happen? This is false. So my result will be called. So you are passing error. So second function will be called. And you are passing this value, right? Okay. And now if I run, error will come. So what the promise does, it's a JavaScript object. This is the producing code. It links the producing code to the consuming code. Consuming code has success function and the error function. You just after the producing code, you need to call the success or error based on a condition. This is how promise links the producing code and the consuming code. This is the syntax. Create an object, use promise dot then, have two functions. Okay. So when you want to execute some code based on after some code is finished, you can use promise also instead of callback. Okay, this you will be using it in your web applications, right? There will be many scenarios where you have to do something only if something has happened. After something is done only you have to do something. That time you can use promise.